share my travels with you. If this is your first time here, hope you like this adventure and come back to watch more. Welcome back, viewers, to my next episode. Sorry it has taken me a while to upload this episode because I got a bit carried away with Shanti Stupa, which I showed you in my last episode. I started painting it, so kind of got distracted from making videos. I will show you in a minute where I'm at with that painting. So as part of that acclimatization period in Leh, we visited some other places, and today's episode is about LehPalace, which you can see in the background here, and discovering the Namgyal dynasty and also a General Zorawar Singh. This is my spin on what I have understood. So here we go. The next episode. This episode goes way back in time. We are talking about the 1400s, or even way back when Ladakh was ruled by the Maryul dynasty. At that time, Ladakh was divided into Lower Ladakh and then Upper Ladakh. And the Upper Ladakh area was ruled by the then king of Leh, which was part of that Maryul dynasty. But then this man called Lachan Bhagan, he was a king from Basco. He reunited Ladakh by overthrowing the king of Leh. And then he was the first one to take on the surname Namgyal. Namgyal means victorious. And he founded the new dynasty, which was the Namgyal dynasty, which actually still survives today. The lineage still exists. As you arrive in Leh city, you see this majestic statue of a man on a horse. And that was my first sight of the Lion King, as he is called in Ladakh, King Senge Namgyal. So he's the man who built LehPalace. As you drive along, you're also greeted by this beautiful Kalachakra stupa in Leh, alongside the famous Chewang Rinchen's statue, which we talked about in the last episode. An interesting fact I discovered was that the only Kalachakra in the southern hemisphere is in Malambimbi, which is a place close to where I live. Driving further along, you enter through the Leh gate to the walled city of Ladakh. And then I saw this gigantic prayer wheel, and I was to see innumerous money wheels or prayer wheels later on. The entrance door to this temple had the saying Kiki Soso Largyalo on the top, and I didn't know what it was until we were traveling to Kardungla Pass, and I heard a lot of local Ladakhi people call out this Kiki Soso Largyalo, shouted at the top of a mountain pass usually. Triumph to the god. Safe pass. It's also used as a war cry for Ladakhi scouts. So this trip to visit the LehPalace was on the same day as we saw Shanti Stupa. By the way, here's my painting of Shanti Stupa. It's not yet completed. So the interesting story about the Lion King, he was born to a Buddhist father, King Namgyal, and a Muslim queen, Gyal Khatun. Now how did that happen? Ladakh was invaded by a Balti ruler called Ali Sher Khan. This was in response to Jamyang's killing of some Muslim rulers in Baltistan. So Ali Sher Khan invaded Ladakh, and he destroyed many Buddhist gompas in anger of what had happened. So Jamyang secured a peace treaty with Ali Sher Khan. The Buddhist king Jamyang Namgyal married the Balti queen Gyal Khatun, and this was quite an incredible turn in Ladakh. The queen actually, although Muslim born, she was a patron of religious architecture, and she actually promoted Buddhism and also constructed mosques in Ladakh. So many Balti Muslims settled in Leh after the marriage of Jamyang to Gyal. And I had not known any of this before, so discovered things about Baltistan and the Balti people. So King Sangye Namgyal is quite extraordinary. He made efforts to restore Ladakh to its old glory. He had an ambitious program of rebuilding several gompas and shrines that Ali Sher Khan had destroyed. That's probably why he's celebrated so widely in Ladakh by both the Hindus and the Muslims. He's a son of both religions.
So this is LehPalace.
So the palace is actually built in Tibetan architectural style with materials like stone, bricks, sun-dried bricks, wood from the trees that you see in Ladakh, poplar, juniper and willow. The high-quality stonework with sharp edge corners is quite incredible, the masonry at the time. And the tapering walls with the horizontal timber lacing, which prevented vertical cracks, I believe, in the structure. The size of the windows at the bottom levels is very, very small, almost like a slit, and then they get bigger and bigger as you go higher, leading to balconies at the upper level. You enter the palace through this elaborate, embellished wooden portico gate known as the Lion Gate. This is actually at level 2. Now the rooms in the lower levels served as quarters for staff, servants, and as also storage silos. But this palace had 9 levels. On level 4 is a large open courtyard known as Khatok Chenmo, where social and cultural activities of the royal family were held. It also houses the royal shrine, and it was quite beautiful. The ministers and other members were addressed by the king in the Hall of Audience, which is located on the 5th level. Right now, this is converted into an information center. The royal family actually lived on level 6, and the king himself, the royal apartment for the king, was on level 7. Level 8 had few rooms, and level 9, the top level, had a shrine dedicated to the protector deity of the royal family. So this palace was occupied until 1834, until when the Dogra invasion happened, after which the royal family shifted to Stoke Palace. The palace has remained more or less abandoned, due to which decay started, but the Archaeological Survey of India declared this as a monument of national importance in 1982. Since then, they've carried out a lot of restoration and conservation work to consolidate the structure, infusing new life to this historic monument, reviving the glory of the palace.
So I'm at level 9. What a wonderful view.
Built in 1600 over a short span of just 3 years, LehPalace is truly an architectural masterpiece. From LehPalace, I could see Namgyal TsemoCastle and the TsemoGompa, this reddish structure on the top of the hill. You can actually walk up this path or simply drive there. And I was still suffering from high altitude sickness, so didn't want to walk up there. And I actually didn't realize that one can drive there, so I kind of didn't get there. So Tsemo means the top, and Namgyal means victory. This is where the Turks were defeated, and hence they built this castle. Anyway, although I didn't get to the temple and to see the ruins of the castle, well, it's actually just ruins now. It is really worth a visit, and if you have the time and you are not suffering from any altitude sickness, do go up there and check out the views. And it also has a very, very tall Maitra Buddha statue in the Gompa. The Namgyal dynasty was very powerful and ruled for a long time, 422 years. and before that was the Maurya dynasty. So Ladakh was always an independent kingdom. But at the end of the Namgyal dynasty, around the 1830s, it had weakened. Infighting and many other reasons caused the Namgyal dynasty to be weak. And this is when the Dogra general Zorawar Singh invaded Ladakh, and he, on his third attempt, was able to infiltrate into Ladakh, and that brought the Namgyal dynasty to an end. But to understand a bit more about what General Zorawar Singh was doing in Ladakh, I need to take you back in time. And I found this a most fascinating history, and I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what really brought General Zorawar Singh to Ladakh, besides expanding Jammu and Kashmir territory. To understand why the Dogras invaded Ladakh and the cause of the end of Namgyal dynasty, we have to go way back in time, around 1680s. What had happened was Tibet had made some claims on Bhutan. There was conflict. Ladakh decided to side with Bhutan. So Tibet was very annoyed with this and angry, and they attacked Ladakh. It was quite a severe attack that came in from that eastern side, and they did this with the help of the Mongols, who came from Mongolia, China. Now, the places like Basko and Tingmusgang held off the attack for quite a while, but Ladakh was in great strife because Tibet was wanting to take over more of the land. At this stage, Kashmir, or the Mughal king in Kashmir, the Muslim king in Kashmir, decided to help Ladakh. This was in 1683. He sent forces there, and there was a stalemate. So the Tibetans had to retreat, and it was from this war, the Tibet-Ladakh Mughal War, that ended up in the Treaty of Tingmusgang in 1684. Now, this treaty dictated where the border was going to be between Tibet and Ladakh, but the Mughals then also demanded that a mosque be built in Leh, and I believe the then king Delek Namgyal was also forced to convert to be a Muslim, but I couldn't find anywhere whether this happened or not, but there are some claims that this happened. But the most important thing that dictated history was Tibet in this treaty agreed to supply all the goat wool from their special sheep that grazed on the western side of Tibet to Ladakh. And at the same time, Ladakh signed a treaty with the Mughals, a separate treaty, which said that they would supply the wool to Kashmir. Now, these were not any ordinary goats. These goats that live in high altitude, more like 5,000 meters, 18,000 feet, and sustain the harsh, cold winters, develop a very fine and soft undercoat to survive the harsh winters. So this undercoat, or the down, is then discarded in summer because they don't need it in the warmer climates. The resilient and tough nomadic people who look after the goats are called Changpas. Herders from this high altitude region remove the down like fiber, and this is called pasham. This is then sent to artisans who weave shawls, stoles, and lots of other things that are sought after. Shawls made in Kashmir would reach Europe and the US alike and was cherished by everyone who owned one. It has been an essential fashion accessory for women worldwide, from French Queen Marie Antoinette to Napoleon to British Queen Victoria. So the special undercoat or down from this trans-Himalayan breed in Tibet and Ladakh was what a war was fought over. Ladakh had enjoyed a monopoly in this wool trade for a long time. The Dogra king of Jammu, Gulab Singh, was resentful of Ladakh's monopoly over this wool trade, and he declared war on Ladakh. I have nicknamed it the Pashmina War of 1834. To get the whole story of how the Namgyal dynasty ended and how General Zorawar Singh arrived in Ladakh, I went and visited ZorawarFort. It's a fort and a museum, and it's worth visiting. At first, I couldn't understand why there was a fort in Ladakh to celebrate a man who had invaded Ladakh. So, by the beginning of the 19th century, the Mughal Empire had collapsed. Now, Sikhs had overtaken the Muslims and they ruled Punjab and Kashmir. So, at this time, the Namgyal dynasty had weakened quite a bit, and that last king was dethroned and exiled to Stock. Ladakh came under Dogra rule and was later to become part of the state of Jammu and Kashmir. After General Zorawar Singh captured Ladakh, Gulab Singh set his eyes on Western Tibet as he wanted to secure a monopoly over the entire shawl wool trade. However, Zorawar, he went into Tibet along with Ladakhi soldiers, and this is where he met his nemesis. Zorawar was defeated and killed in 1842. And then another treaty was signed, the Treaty of Leh, between Tibet, Ladakh and Jammu. This treaty reinstated Ladakh's position as the mediary through which Pashmina would pass, or Pasham would pass, from Tibet to Kashmir. So in chronological order, I saw Tsemo Monastery, TsemoCastle, LehPalace, Shanti Stupa, all in one day. We then explored Old Leh town. You can see this side of Leh city from the top of the palace. The market, the gompas, the Gurdwara, and many other structures are down in that Old Leh town. You can even see the polo grounds, polo being a famous sport in Ladakh. The white structure visible from the palace was the Gurdwara Datun Sahib, and we walked to this area and learnt about the history of how Guru Nanak came to Ladakh. He came to Ladakh in 1516. There was no greenery there, and he planted this mesawak tree or datun tree. Indians use the twigs of the datun tree to brush their teeth. A bit corrosive, but does the job. There were so many stories around this ancient tree, I didn't know which one to believe, because the other version goes something like this. There is a lot to see in Old Leh town, and they offer free guided tours of Old Leh town. We just couldn't find anyone to take us there. But there's a wonderful blog or article written by Tashi Marup, and it's worth a good read if you are headed towards Leh, because this part of Leh town is worth exploring. From Baker Street to the museum there, to understanding the cultural heritage of that area. This Central Asian Museum on Leh provides for a good insight into the famous Silk Route that traversed Ladakh. As we walked back into the Leh market area from the museum, we came across these famous Thangka paintings. These are traditional Buddhist paintings that depict deities, religious symbols, mandalas. These paintings are spiritual and are often used as a tool for meditation and spiritual practice. Incredible art, and the artists were sitting doing some of these paintings. Old Leh town drops back into the Leh market, where we strolled the streets, checked out some of the shops, and you could see the castle from there, and also the mosque, which we saw in the daylight again. There's a gompa inside the market area. A post office was very charming. Took some pictures around there. So as part of our acclimatization period in Leh, and we had 4 days for that, the first 3 days were spent in Leh town. I covered a lot of ground, saw a lot of places. We also collected our permits. All foreigners and locals need permits to visit parts of Ladakh. We also got ourselves our local SIM card, and we were ready for the next day's adventure. So follow me to my next destination, which was the Sham Valley. So join me in my next episode where I take you through my next destination. Until then, take care, be safe, and see you next time.